everybody, it's your boy Marcus Norman from Gentleman Style Podcast Show. And today we have Mr. Taalib Saber. He's a principal attorney at the Saber Law Firm, LLC, where he practices education and special education law, civil and human rights, personal injury law. He is also a filmmaker. Mr. Saber is a staunch Pan-African community activist and organizer in the DC, Maryland, and various countries in the West, East, and South Africa. This man is doing it all. He also serves as the board director of the Tubman House and community organization focused on community development. He's been featured on ABC, Fox News, and various media sources. This man coming to the stage. Please help me welcome this powerful speaker of mine and growing friend, Mr. Saber. Thank you, sir, for coming to the Gentleman Style Podcast stage. We appreciate you very, very much. Thank you for joining us on the platform.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us. Give him one more round of applause, y'all. This is phenomenal. This man is huge. Sir, you are making moves. Your resume is extensive, and I'm excited to have you on the platform today. Sir, I got to dive in. I got to ask, what inspires you every single day to do what you do? You got your hands in everything.
Yeah, I would say, honestly, probably the work of my ancestors and the forefathers and foremothers that come before me, knowing that they laid or passed the baton. So knowing that there's work that needs to be done and being able to just pick it up in whatever aspect or capacity that is, be it law, film, community, food, whatever aspect and area of life needs to have some type of impact from my generation, and I have the ability to do it, then I will. So that's what inspires me.
Huge. Big shout out to the ancestors. Round of applause for Mr. Saber and the ancestors. That's huge, sir. Thank you for saying that. Successful people have morning routines, right? Everybody, and we talked about it a little bit offline, right? I see you as a rock, right? Every successful person has a morning routine that sets off the rest of their day and allows them to have a very productive day. What's a morning routine that has led to your success and career and business success?
Great question. I would say meditation for sure. I have to meditate in the morning. So after I do my just hygiene ritual, meditations and divinations in the morning, I also work out, and then just being able to get my mind focused and clear prior to me diving into any type of work really assists me. And that's my day-to-day routine typically.
Absolutely. That's huge. That's a good routine. What about diet wise? Any special diets or anything that you do that's unique, sir?
Well, do you consider veganism to be unique?
That's unique to me. So it's unique to me. I need to work on some things. I need to get it together. But diet.
Honestly. Like being heavily plant-based, making sure, and I've been a vegan going on 6 years now. So just making sure that it's been a journey, but making sure that because veganism is a part of my lifestyle. So it's not just a diet or just a way, it's not just one facet of my life. It kind of pours into the other aspects of my life. So, being able to just be plant-based, I get a lot of energy from that. I'm not as lethargic, as lazy, and I am highly productive, and it's something that helps to drive me. So, yeah.
Wow. I got to change up some things. So veganism. So it's a way of life. It's not just food related. It's a whole way of life. That's huge. And so that's important, right? And I'm glad you said that. And I'm glad you mentioned that because the cloudiness, right? A lot of people complain about the fog when they go into work, the drowsy, lack of energy, to do all the incredible things you do. You have to be able to show up. The biggest thing is showing up, and you show up and you show up. And again, ladies and gentlemen, this man's resume is extensive. To do all those things, you have to make some lifestyle changes. So that's huge. Thank you for breaking that down. Thank you for expressing that. That's huge. Sir, all the many things that you do, you are a board member of two organizations, right? The Tubman House and the Girl Child Charity House, Elohim. What is the mission of those organizations, and why is that significant to you to serve in those capacities?
Well, starting with the Tubman House, the reason that that's important to me is because that directly is a tie into the community, particularly in Baltimore, but it's not just in Baltimore, it's international. The connections are international. How I came about that was I was in North Carolina. So I was in law school, went to North Carolina Central University. And while I was there,
Ladies love it. They love it.
While I was there, I saw like a flyer for Brother Eddie Conway to be in town as a Black Panther. And I'm like, you know what? I always heard about the Black Panthers. I never had an opportunity to meet any of them. And, you know, I wanted to dive into doing community type of work on a grad type of level now that I'm an adult. So I pulled up at one of the events and I spoke to him afterwards and I said, yeah, you know, it's an honor to meet you. I would love to, I see that you're in Baltimore. I would love to do some work with you, all this and that. So Brother Eddie, just as an elder does, you know, was chewing on something sweet. I was like, yeah, okay. So when you I can't remember if he said when you pass the bar or after you're done taking the bar. When you come back to Maryland, you know, just contact me and we'll link up. So I contacted him. He said, yeah, come up to the particular area that we worked at in Pressbury Street and, you know, just meet with me. So I said, okay. So I pulled up. I didn't know they were doing I didn't know they were doing gardening and stuff like that, the agricultural work in the city. So I said, yeah, so go ahead and dig that up, do that, go get that bag, do that. He straight put me to work.
Put you to work.
Okay, you know, but as I began to really sit and talk to him, speak with him, I realized exactly what he did, what got him involved in the Black Panther Party, but then also how the organization, soon to be known as the Tubman House, would come about, because it branched off of Friend of a Friend, which is a program that Brother Eddie did when he was locked down for 40 plus years in the prison system, where he would, I loosely say mentor, but he would cultivate some of the young brothers that were in there, that were in street organizations that came to the prisons, to be able to politicize their mind. And then once they got back out into the community, then they would go and talk to the other young brothers and they would be politicized and things like that. So the mission for the Tubman House really is a true liberation for oppressed people. And it's something that we've stick true to. You know, we've done projects such as political education classes that we do. We've had a garden built all on 3 lots, you know, where it has aquaponics, a chicken coop. We have fruits and vegetables. This is smack in, you know, the hood, because these areas in which we live, our community lives, it's like a food apartheid. There's no fresh food that, you know, you really can get. And now you have a place in which you can go literally across the way, not even across the street, to pick up the fresh collard greens and the fresh kale and tomatoes and things like that. So that's the Tubman House. As far as Elohim Girl Child Charity House, when I traveled to the continent, this was in 2017, I was able to build with a brother named Malim. Well, we call him Malimu, which means teacher in Swahili, but his name is Shahid. So I built with Shahid, and he was talking to me about this organization that he had, where he would do everything he could to keep young girls in school by providing them different type of sanitary napkins, school supplies and things like that. So when I was there, he gave me an opportunity to look around and kind of go with him and build with him as well, because he's a Pan-Africanist also.
He didn't put you to work.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, in a sense, it was more so like a tour, but I kind of put myself to work, because that's what I do. So you know, after meeting the principal and the teachers and all these things, prior to me going, I sponsored a young girl that was in school. And this gave me an opportunity to meet her, because, you know, you see those commercials that are very inflammatory, I'll say.
Sponsor a kid 5 cents a day.
Exactly. So, and a funny thing, just a slight side note, those that are on the continent don't see those commercials, because I remember we were in a group chat and I showed him some of those commercials and he got really upset. and some of the other continental Africans that were in the group chat with me who never saw those before. So they didn't know that the UN is doing that. But, I was able to kind of sit and build with the young sister and her mother. And one of the things that I told Marlene while I was there and how I got on the board was I said, we can keep these young girls in school, which is great. But as an African people, we are very collective in how we move and how we operate. So if the young girl is being fed food, but the mom is starving, or the brother is starving, or the siblings or whoever is starving, it makes no difference. Like, you should at least feed the entire household. So that's how we expanded to where he only was feeding the girls, to where we got more farmland to be able to feed the families of those girls that are in school. So after building with him and talking to him about some of my ideas and some of the resources that I had here to be able to assist in his mission, that's what led me to be, or he asked me to be on the board for it.
Wow. Huge. A heart of gold, y'all. Super dope, super dope. Amazing heart of gold. This was not, I didn't know I was going to get that much. I know what I read, but that is foundational, sir. That's the core and the essence of who you are and what you're doing in the community. We have the incredible Mr. Saber. And tune in. We're got to go to a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Stay with us. Stay engaged. We'll be right back. Good day, podcast listeners. This is your boy, Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show. I wanted to let you guys know that we will be rolling out a new feature and adding a join sponsor button next to the subscriber button here at the bottom of your screen. Once you click the button, it will display 3 membership levels. Gentleman Gentry, which is our entry level, Duke Duchess, which is our season level, and the Emperor and Empress, which is our most sophisticated level, which you will receive unique perks and benefits at each differing level and gain access to our community tab. We will also be sharing polls, upcoming events, and interviews, as well as receive feedback from our sponsors directly. Your support helps me find new and exciting guests to bring to the stage live. Well, in order to get the higher end speakers, it requires, you guessed it, money. So thank you for tuning in to my channel. And if becoming a sponsor sounds good to you, then select the join button below and choose your desired sponsor level. Let's continue to grow and serve the future of generations of men and women to come. Love you guys. Bye. Hey everybody, we are back to the Gentleman Style Podcast platform, and we have the incredible, the amazing, the super fragilistic, expialidocious, Mr. Saber. I gotta give it up. This man is phenomenal. He is making a significant impact in the community, and he is changing the world, literally the world. If you missed it, go back, tune in, check him out, y'all. The man is a board director of 2 organizations that are absolutely phenomenal. Another round of applause, y'all. Sir, thank you for joining us on the Gentleman Style Podcast stage, and thank you for breaking down those 2 important organizations that you are whole board member positions to, board director positions to. Thank you for that. That's a huge phenomenon. Sir, out of the many things you just broke down, you're also a lawyer and activist in your local and global community. In your experience, hint, hint, wink, wink, is racism real today, or is it just a figment of our imagination?
It's a figment of those that want to uphold the system of white fragility, mistakenly known as white supremacy, in their minds. But no, it's very real. Racism isn't just a white officer shooting a black man or black woman. Racism is power plus prejudice. So you can be prejudiced all day with somebody, or against somebody rather, have your biased views of them. But until you actually control their resources and have power with it to back it up, then it's just prejudice. So racism is institutionalized. So you'll see it in forms of banking and access to loan or money finances. You'll see it with access to education. You'll see it with access to proper food. You'll see it with access to healthcare, proper healthcare, a whole gambit. It's in all sectors and areas of life. So racism is very real, despite what your politicians may say, and it's something that we deal with on a daily basis as an African people living in the United States.
Wow. You actually, I had to do some research. You actually had your own bouts as a lawyer and the owner of your own law firm. You've actually had your own bouts and experiences with racism and police. Can you tell us some of those details and what happened in those interactions and what happened?
Sure. The most recent one that I can recall, I was driving, or it was me, my father, and my cousin driving up to New Jersey to drop my cousin off. And we got pulled over by two officers and two white gun-heavy officers, gun-ready officers. And they asked my father to get out the car, the driver's side. So he went to the back. The other officer, the entire time, had his hand like on his gun. And he went to my cousin who was sitting in the back, and to his window, asked for ID. And I forgot what my cousin said, but the officer kind of had like a little snarky remark to him. And then he gave him his ID. And then he came to my side. And because I've been through this before, and when he asked for my ID, I normally always, anytime that I'm pulled over, I always give my ID as well as my bar license. And I gave him that, because remember, I'm dressed down, I have locks, like it's, I just look like a typical brother. So I gave him that, and he looked at the ID. Then he said, "Well, what's this?" Talking about my bar card in Maryland. And I said, "Yeah, that's my license. Yeah, my bar license." He says, "You're an attorney?" I'm like, "Yeah, I practice out of DC, out of Maryland." And he's like, "Oh, so do you do criminal defense, or do you do? Are you working for the state?" And I said, at that time, I do criminal defense. So he's like, "Oh, okay." So and then he tried to have small conversation with me, but eventually he walked back. He said, "Okay, I'll be back." So he walked back to the car, and then I saw my father walk back to our car, and then he comes back, and then he says, "Yeah, we're just gonna let you go," and it's just that it was a mix up, because what happened was apparently the rental car that we had a different license plate than what was registered to the car. So that was their basis for pulling us over. But nonetheless, you could read the racism all over his face just from his behavioral patterns and how hostile he was toward us. Of course, until he got that, he saw my license, and then there was another time, yeah, and then there was another time when me and my sister just dropped off my nephew to a school in Ohio when he was going to college up there. And I was sitting in her parking lot, and this had to have been maybe 11 o'clock, because we got back pretty late. And I was eating some food, and I was in there for maybe 20 minutes. Next thing you know, it was like 3 police cars pull up and block me in. So I'm like, what's going on? Because I see flashing lights and stuff, so I ain't know if somebody's trying to jack me from my vehicle or what. So you see this big burly dude that's on my driver's side. I didn't pay him any attention. I didn't feel any type of way about him. But then there was an officer on the other side, the passenger side. So I rolled down that window, and he said, "Yeah, we saw that you were sitting here, and there have been a lot of robberies in the area and all this and that, the typical line to use." So he said, "Yeah, what's your name?" And I said, "Well, Attorney Taalib Saber." He was like, "Attorney, is that your name, or what do you say? Is that your first name, or is that your title?" And I said, "That's my title." Now the funny thing is, I couldn't find my license, so I was like, I asked him to shine a light on my wallet so I could like rummage through to find my license. And I forget what I said to him, but eventually I never found the license, but before I could never find it, he said, "Oh, I could just tell based on the conversation that we're having, that nothing's wrong here, and we're just going to let you go," and all this and that. So it's unfortunate that I have to talk about my profession in order to get the respect. But at the same time, it's like that's something that I think is important for us attorneys to talk about, because it makes it even more real, and we're not absolved from experiencing racism, which makes the beauty of traveling to the continent of Africa so much greater, because you don't have these experiences. But just knowing that at any point in time you can become a hashtag, and a lot of people don't really understand that until you're in it. That's why people can be attenuated from it, and you can see these things happening, like the movements that are going on, or the pushback against the system, and you just are numb to it until your family member or you become a part of a victim of that.
Wow, man, that's huge. Thank you for breaking that down so delicately, and that's the reason why I had to ask, because that's true, right? You're just a brother doing a normal thing, going about his day, a normal day with his family, and even you are susceptible to like you said, becoming a hashtag. Right. And so that's powerful, and who knows, right? Who knows what direction that could have went if you didn't have the credentials that you had on you, whether it be your license. That should be enough by most standards. But the fact that you have to also present that you are a practicing lawyer with a law firm, that's unfortunate and fortunate at the same time, because who knows what direction that could have been in. So thank you for breaking that down so delicately. That's huge. We have one more quick commercial break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Stay with us, y'all. This man is phenomenal, and you won't want to miss 1 second of this. We'll be right back.
Support for Gentleman Style Podcast is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming champions of the world. Manscaped offers you precision engineering tools for your family jewels. Manscaped just launched their 4th generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0. You heard that right, the 4.0. Join over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off free worldwide shipping with the code GENTSTYLE at manscaped.com.
Hey everybody, if you're just tuning into the Gentleman Style Podcast, we have an incredible guest. He is spilling the tea. He just broke it down. Mr. Saber had just broke down how he himself, as a practicing lawyer in the state of DC, had his own experiences on his way up to New Jersey, which was one instance, had his own bouts with racism and potentially police brutality. And so he was able, the fact that he has to even present himself, not only just showing regular credentials, which is a driver's license, but also his bar certification, just to level the playing field in America. And that's why I had to get him on the show today. And that's why he's so impactful. Sir, I have to ask, the world just witnessed George Floyd's killer, right? Because he was murdered. That wasn't a police incident or accident. That was a murder. George Floyd's killer has finally been convicted. The world wants to know, why did it take so long for the court system to go through that? Do you feel that justice has truly been served?
So I'll answer it as a lawyer, and then I'll answer it in the reality of society. So Please. Legally, the reason that it took so long is because you have to identify who the witnesses are in the case. You have to have the police do their investigation. And then you have to examine and interview some of the witnesses, get the evidence, collect the evidence, set a court date. Everything is happening during the coronavirus, so like things are getting pushed back. Those type of technicalities that may prolong a court trial. So that is the reason as to why legally, it took some time to do. But as far as outside of the law, and merging with the question of has justice been served. So the police originally were slave catchers, and they were invoked to protect property of the wealthy during the colonial period. And then that relationship really hasn't changed over time, over the past however many years we've been here. So that's why you have that. And then in addition to that, people who are socially and economically oppressed, they tend to get more of the brunt of police brutality and excessive force cases because there's not a power structure behind them to support them. Like that you can't, when you have people who are poor or impoverished, you can't pay your way out of the system. You can have some of these rich clients, whether they be black or white, to be honest. But like, if you're wealthy, then you can afford like a dream team of attorneys and, legal fees and these type of things. But, when you're impoverished, that's not the case. And even when you are living paycheck to paycheck or in the middle class, there's no separation, in my opinion, between those who would be classified as impoverished and those in the middle class, as it relates to when you juxtapose it to the rich or the wealthy, the top 1%. So justice being served, no. It is accountability, in my opinion. So now you made this person accountable, but this doesn't stop the police from shooting and killing black folks. This doesn't stop, the stop and frisk that happened. This doesn't stop. That's just domestically. This doesn't stop internationally. The United States going into other countries and overthrowing their governments and, imposing upon them puppet leaders to where they can rape and take the riches of other countries and take over through militarism and imperialism. So it's like, because that happened, you put that in the case of, in this situation and statistically like an anomaly in comparison to how many black people who did not make it to mainstream have to endure and suffer police brutality and oppression on a day-to-day basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis. So justice, to me, I'll say it like this. There was a meme that I saw, I think it was on Instagram, where it had Dr. King at the top, and then it had Egyptian kings and queens at the bottom of it. And it said something to the effect of, if you think we've made progress, then you haven't seen where we come from, or something like that, juxtaposing the two pictures. So it's like, and this is something that Malcolm X once said, if you are taught that you did not do anything, or you come from nothing, then you will never do anything. So justice, to me, is similar to not having any type of, it's like freedom. Freedom is to be completely devoid of fear. And when you live in a society that is makes its riches off of the fear, invoking the fear of somebody who doesn't look like you, the fear of being not having enough, the fear of being killed at any moment, all of those fears the United States builds on and creates their empire on. And there's not going to be, justice can't exist in a society that oppresses the people, and that's how they make their money, by the division.
Wow. Mr. Saber, y'all. Mr. Saber dropping nuggets, sir. Sir, you've been to the continent. You've been to the motherland. What's it like? How is it night and day difference? Is there some similarities there? What's it like? You mentioned earlier that it was a blessing to be there and how peaceful it was. What was it like over there?
So Africa consists of, I believe, 56 countries. And a big misnomer about Africa is that the entire country is like all the same, and to put it in perspective as to how big Africa is, you can fit the United States, Brazil, the UK, China, and Russia all in there with enough space for Australia and some other countries. So the continent of Africa is the second largest in the world, but the majority of Asia, which is the first largest, consists of Siberia, and Siberia is like buried under ice. So like, as far as like live inhabitants, then Africa would be number one. But to be there is, the best way I can describe it is like being a white person in the United States. Like, you go, and so I went to South Africa twice, Ghana twice, Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, and Rwanda. And every instance that I was there, like, it was nothing but love. They would say, welcome home, brother. And as a Pan-African, we focus on the similarities more than the differences. But there were places that I've went, and you may be kicking it with your homies or whatever, and maybe y'all roll up on a store, whatever the case may be, and you see like some elders sitting outside, sipping some alcohol or whatever, and talking crap and hollering at the women that walk past. You literally see the same thing on the continent, which is the funniest thing, because it's like it just illustrates the fact that no matter where we are, we're still all the same people. But from the warmth of the sun, just blessing your melanin skin, to the revitalization that your body gets from eating the natural fruits and vegetables, to the warming and welcoming sounds of, an accent that comes in a mother tongue that you've been stripped of, to tap into a culture that was once yours but was beaten out of you. It's a returning of sorts that is indescribable. I cannot describe. Especially when I went to Ghana, it was a spiritual connection that you have to experience. I cannot describe it. It's as though literally you're coming back home.
So out of all of them, you recommend Ghana first to visit?
Ghana, well, it depends on what you want your experience to be. A lot of people would select South Africa because South Africa is more, in my opinion, South Africa is very westernized. So if you're transitioning from the United States and used to the amenities and things of the United States, and you want to kind of transition smoothly into it, then South Africa may be a route to go. And these are just of the countries that I've visited, not exclusive to that. But Ghana has, in my opinion, the perfect mixture between the development and that you may see in the West and the culture. Because, for instance, when I was there, on Fridays, they had like a cultural Friday. So you would wear your traditional prints into work on Fridays. And then in East Africa, when I was in Kenya and Tanzania, I didn't see that as much. So that's why West Africa to me had a bit more like a cultural pride about them than I saw in East Africa. And it could have just been a place I went to, but I would definitely say if you want that experience of the welcoming back home and because Ghana also has a history of Pan-Africanism because of Kwame Nkrumah, peace be upon him. And what he did studying here in the United States, he was friends with Malcolm X, friends with Martin Luther King, Kwame Ture or Stokely Carmichael and all the other revolutionaries. He housed political people who were seeking political asylum. But not only that, he trained Patrice Lumumba and Amilcar Cabral, two of the more influential African leaders, period, in the 20th century. So he has a history of being a Pan-Africanist, and Ghana has a history of that. And it's a lot of us African people that were born in the United States that have repatriated to Ghana. So I think it's like 10,000 of us that are living there now. So Ghana's a great place to start. Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Sir, tell us, you do so much for your community, and this is kind of like a redundant question, but what advice would you give to the young man, the young woman out there looking to make a difference in the world? What advice would you give that young man who's still trying to identify where to get their start at, or that young girl that's blossoming into who she really is?
I would say that it starts with you. It starts with you. And the Michael Jackson song, Man in the Mirror, comes into mind. You make a change, you look in the mirror. But it starts with you, because like the analogy of when you're on an airplane and it's going down, you have to secure your mask first before you can secure the mask of somebody else. So I would say look intrinsically within you and figure out what it is that you like, what your purpose is, and shore that up. My advice also is that, when you sit with somebody who knows their purpose and you don't know yours, then it will help to lead you to your purpose. And then also sitting at the feet of the elders. One of the things that we do as an African people is we learn from those who are older than us. And we've always done that. So being able to sit with someone who has more knowledge than you and just listen. You don't have to necessarily ask questions, but just listen. And then pick up little things and put it into your repertoire. And then you'll realize exactly what it is, what your gift may be. Everybody may not be what we call a foot soldier, where you're literally doing things from the grassroots level. Perhaps you're a person that's, a professional, and you want to give back to your community and you want to help, but you don't have the time to do to make sandwiches or to collect clothes or to run a healthcare clinic or something like that. Maybe you have more resources than that. So you dedicate those resources to whatever particular initiative, there is. The beautiful thing I love about the Black Panther Party was that they would get assistance from anybody that really would uphold their principles and truths, but at the same time, were just willing, that had more resources. So you want to make sure that you are able to truly build, but not by, you don't have to be a starving artist or starving activist or poor activist in order to really make change. Like, you can literally be a professional and do the same, do that work, but someone who's young, find a mentor and sit with someone who either has taken your path before or has your best interest at heart. And then that would help guide you to knowing exactly what it is that you can do and what you can provide for your community.
Huge. Love that. I hope everyone in the audience is hearing that. If you haven't, grab your kids, snatch them up, and have them tune in to what Mr. Saber is putting out. This is phenomenal. This is huge. Sir, I don't have Michael Jackson do the copyright. So I can't play that for you. But I do have some slow jam, some music, so we can jam out to that. So, Mr. Saber, what's your favorite way to give back to the community?
Being on the ground, actually, like literally doing the work, being in the community. Like when we took over the building in Baltimore from the city, like that was one of my proudest moments, to be honest, because we literally showed force and said, hey, we've been here, we've been doing this work, and now we want to negotiate with you to take this building so we can use the building as a political education and a library. They didn't want to hear us, so we literally just went in, changed locks, called the media, and told them what was going on. Next thing you know, Baltimore City pulled up. That's the only way we get their attention. So my favorite way to do it is to be on the ground, like the grassroots.
Love that. Sir, how can people connect with you? How can we connect with you, grow with you, and learn from you, sir?
Just my various platforms. Saberfirm.com is my website. On social media, you literally can Google my name, Taalib Saber, but on Instagram, it's Taalib_S. On LinkedIn, it's Taalib Saber. And on Facebook, it's the Saber Firm.
Love it. Sir, thank you for giving back in this way. Thank you for giving back. I consider this a form of community service. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to give back and educate us. I am educated, y'all. I hope this has been impactful. This has been impactful for me. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Sir, so we got to let Mr. Saber go. He has a company to run. He has the world to make a difference in. He has the world to change. But I hope this has been impactful. It's definitely been impactful for me. And I hope in a couple months, 6 months to a year, we can follow up with him and get him back on the show.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Keep doing what you're doing, brother, too, because we need the platform.
I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. I'm going to continue to serve the people and give back in my own little way. I hope this helps. So, like I end every show, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for tuning in and supporting the show. I hope this message has served you. I hope it's been impactful. And I hope it's been insightful for you. And I hope it changes the direction. This man we need to get behind, because he is making an absolute difference. Thank you all for tuning into the Gentleman Style Podcast Show. Like I end every show, take care of your families, take care of your friends, and take care of business. Marcus Norman, Gentleman Style Podcast Show, and Mr. Saber, Taalib Saber, Esquire, signing off. Love you guys. Bye.